Welcome back, everyone, once again to a special Halloween installment of Screenplay Rewind. I'm Jeff.
I'm Ron.
How's it going, man?
I am probably 24 hours away from becoming a clicker,
Oh no,
just so you know.
why is that?
So we bought some shelvings for the kids' playroom, right?
I don't
You've
like where this is going.
you've seen it. Um, we pulled the shelving out to kind of rearrange the room,
Oh no.
and my wife goes, "Is that mold?" And I look over the shelving unit that I have in front of me, and there's just a bunch of what looks like black cauliflower coming out of the carpet.
Hey, you know what though? It's honestly not
Dinner?
that big of a deal because you want to know why it's not that big of a deal? Like
Why?
you're about to get adopted by Pedro Pascal, man. That's like the ultimate goal.
That's true.
You can't beat that. You can watch Paddington 2 with him too, man. It's gonna be lit.
Yeah, it sucks. I've been dealing with that. Should have been like an hour of our time turned into multiple days worth of work, pulling up the carpet and replacing nail strips and spraying things with bleach and spraying things with CLR. And
So what makes that happen? Like, how does that happen?
so you get mold from moisture and warmth and kind of like dark areas.
And zombies?
So what I will tell you is I had someone come out a couple of months ago because I have 3 different leaks in my ceiling. My roof is 10 years old, and in Oklahoma terms, that means it's 50 years old. And I have a lot of valleys, and valleys are bad because when water rushes down the roof, it all rushes to the one place and then runs down, and that's in the valleys. And I am getting some leaks, and I had some people come out, and they caulked the ever-loving shit out of a lot of different areas. And one of the leaks I had them look for happens to be on the other side of that wall. You've probably seen it in my utility room above my dryer. There is a spot in the ceiling. Well, what's funny is that is 4 feet in from that wall. And if you go to the kids' playroom, measure from the same wall, the worst part of this spot was 4 feet in from that wall. So it's the same leak that was causing both. But the good news is when I pulled back the carpet and shit, everything was totally dry, and we just had a bunch of rain. So I'm thinking that means that the leak got caulked already, and everything is probably good. This is probably just left over from before the dude came out. But that shit is serious, man. Like,
Oh yeah, mold. Like,
my throat is messing with me and my chest is messing with me. And for the last couple of months, my son has been spending a lot of time in there watching Bluey while doing Legos. And he has this cough that just won't quit. And I'm starting to wonder if it was that. So, yeah, it's been fun.
I just want to point out my brain when you said it went to you saying they caulked the ever loving shit out of some of the areas, and you created a brand new Pornhub tag. So good job. There you go.
Fucking yes. Yeah. It sucked, but got the I cleaned the hell out of the carpet, and then I cleaned it with the cleaning machine after spraying. You can spray latex paint with bleach mixture, and then I used CLR on the carpet and scrubbed that all up and wiped it and scrubbed it and wiped it, and then used vacuum and cleaning machines on it, and it kind of looks like something happened to it, but you wouldn't know what if you looked at it. And I had already sprayed it really heavily with CLR overnight, so everything that was in that carpet should have been dead, and the pad was fine. So don't have to do anything to the pad. But yeah, it sucked. It was supposed to be an hour just rearranging some shelving and moving some stuff around. And tomorrow I get to take one of those shelves, one of those 3x3 cubicle things, and cut one of the rows off of it because it's particle board, which means sawdust and resin. And that shit got all into that bottom board that was against the carpet. And I was just like, no thanks. Like, this is still usable. This board is not. And without this board, nothing is stable. So I'm just going to saw it all off, and we'll have a 2x3 instead of a 3x3.
Well, there you have it. So, see, you spent your time preventing the cordyceps mold zombie apocalypse, and that's your IRL grievance. And my IRL grievance is that Ron stopped the mold apocalypse. Because I'm just
No,
about at the point. I'm just like, can we just go ahead and bring on the mold apocalypse? Because it'd be a nice change of pace.
either I'm going to be patient zero, or it's going to be like in Dawn of the Dead when the little girl walks into the parents' room and then attacks them because Nathan has spent so much time in that room. So I don't know. It's going to be one of the two.
By the way, I really like that movie.
Which one?
Like
The original or the remake?
The remake. I really liked the remake. And
yeah, it's funny. It's one of those movies that I've always really liked it. And I feel like, one decade everybody likes it, and the next decade everyone says it sucks, and the next decade everybody likes it again.
Yeah, it's a very polarizing movie, but I think it's probably one of the better like horror remakes.
Yeah,
I mean that's not saying much. Most horror remakes are fucking atrocious. That's not saying much. It's like a very low bar to clear, but I like that movie. That's probably one of my favorite Zack Snyder films.
I contemplated having it on this show recently.
Nice. Yeah, I dig that movie. Another movie I dig though that we're gonna be talking about here soon. Fucking Event Horizon, dude.
Yeah.
Goddamn. Sam Neill.
Dude.
That's all you did. That's all you need. Like,
that's all you need to say.
Yeah. Movie has Sam Neill. Go watch. That's the ending. That's the ending of this review.
We've got some stuff to get to before we get into it, but I just want to say this: was it weird seeing Lawrence Fishburne as a leading man? How long has it been since you've seen him not supporting?
It's weird. Like we'll talk about it. I think this might be one of the movies that led to him getting The Matrix.
Probably
because like when you listen to him, the way he fucking commands the room in this movie.
Oh, he's Morpheus.
Is very Morpheus, where like he can tell you fucking anything, and no matter how bonkers it is, you'll fucking do it because goddamn Morpheus told you to, man.
But it's like, when I think of Lawrence Fishburne now, I think of like Morpheus, or I think of fucking
John Wick.
In John Wick.
Yeah.
Someone get this man a gun.
We're going to Applebee's. I love that character.
I love it too.
Yeah, I fucking love Lawrence Fishburne. I feel like Lawrence Fishburne doesn't really get enough credit for how fucking awesome he is. Like everyone likes Lawrence Fishburne, but I still don't think he gets the respect he deserves as
Lawrence Fishburne or Larry Fishburne.
Ooh,
he's one of those actors like remember when In Living Color would credit James Carey, and then when James Carey got popular, he went by Jim. Like early on in Lawrence Fishburne's career, if you go back far enough, he's always credited as Larry Fishburne, and then when he got serious, no, call me Lawrence.
See, he was Larry Fishburne, and then he went into the Event Horizon, and then he came out Lawrence.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah. He came back with eyes on the outside and inside. Yeah, we'll get to it though. Did you want to run through our comments real quick? And I think you had a question for us, right?
I do. I was going to go through the comments first.
Yeah, while Ron is pulling up the comments, I will just say if you have a question or prompt that you would like discussed by Ron and myself, just email us, screenplayrewind@gmail.com.
Screenplayrewind@gmail.com.
I was going to let you awkwardly hang there for the second one because I was taking a drink.
Wowzer. Screenplayrewind@gmail.com.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Also, Also, us actually recording this podcast on time is my Event Horizon because we've been on.
That doesn't mean it's coming out on time.
True.
True. Just means that we're getting her done on time.
I just imagine Ron sitting at his computer desk, like about to go to do the edit, and then you just see Sam Neill, his fucking Hellraiser, walk in, and that's all she wrote.
Oh man. So on Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which I found our niche, at least on YouTube, by the way, because
classic horror remix.
Dude, classic horror in general seems to kill it on the YouTube algorithm. I don't know why, but it seems as that video is going crazy for us. Going crazy.
Or I guess our 50s. I always forget, was the 50s thing the first movie, or was that also a remake? I can't. I think that was the first one, right? Because it came out shortly after the novel or the short story, whatever it was.
Yeah, I think it's the first one.
Okay.
But so, in reaction to my looped GIF for 2 hours,
oh man,
Bobby said greatest opening screen ever.
Yeah, everyone just do a slow clap for that, because that is the greatest content we have ever or will ever put out. Is that GIF being on a loop for, what was it, like 2 hours? Yeah.
Yeah, it took it was like 3,600 copies of that GIF to do that. My computer nearly imploded into a singularity and went to the hell dimension on its own. Here's the sad thing. I tried to do show art. We have the Photoshop files, but neither one of us have Photoshop. And I tried to change our artwork to be that, but I can't do it with the tools that I have. Not well.
Isn't Photoshop like fucking expensive to have too?
And it's a subscription.
Yeah.
They started
annoying.
that. They're the reason the Office is a subscription now. Adobe fucking started all that shit.
Yeah, because Microsoft Word and stuff used to just come with your computer for free, right?
Works did. Microsoft Works did, but not Office.
But like Word, like you used to be able to just have Word on your computer, right? I don't remember it being a subscription a long time ago.
I don't believe so. Every computer I ever had Microsoft Works, and I had to go out and buy Office.
Weird. I never remember it ever being an issue not having Microsoft Word on the computer that I owned.
You can still buy the non-subscription one, just they bury it.
Yeah. Fucking assholes, man.
And here's the thing.
Just let us have fucking Microsoft Word, dude. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, here's the thing. Photoshop should not be a subscription, but at least that is the thing that is actively changing and evolving all the time.
Yeah.
And getting some good tools in there. Office doesn't really change. There is reason for it to
all
be
they ever do with that shit is create one annoying change to the layout of Outlook that does nothing but irritate people that use Outlook at work.
Dude, the thing that I hate the most is the ribbon. I want the fucking ribbon to go away.
Yeah.
I can never, it's supposed to be more organized. I can never find a goddamn thing on the ribbon.
Yeah, it's some bullshit, man. But yeah, what are the comments that you wanted to read?
The other one that Bobby left is, you know what we need? A good old Tomb Raider playthrough.
Oh, man.
And I agree.
Man, I'd be so fucking trash at that it would make it more entertaining, because I can't hit the broadside of a fucking barn using a controller for like aiming now, because I've spent so many years on mouse and keyboard.
I'm still better with a controller than I am mouse and keyboard.
I've spent so much time switching all of my like aiming over to mouse and keyboard, because I've just played like a lot of PUBG, a lot of Apex and stuff over the last like 5-6 years, that skill is just gone. I'm fucking garbage.
Playing Fortnite, even on my PC with a controller, I do better than I do with a keyboard, and I can do pretty good against people using mouse and keyboard. The thing that I cannot beat is the reason the kids today like playing Fortnite on their phone and on the Switch is the gyro aiming.
Oh, yeah.
I can't fucking beat gyro aiming. Gyro aiming will win every time. And kids that use that are fucking good at it.
There's a big controversy with Apex because the aim assist for controller users on that game is so broken that I think it's like 90% of the pro scene of that game uses controller pretty much.
Oh, wow.
And the greatest player in Apex Legends, like on the pro scene, used to play mouse and keyboard and then just said, yeah, I'm just going to switch to controller. And he switched to controller and did even better.
Wow.
Which is just nasty, because like he barely used the controller, and it's just so brain dead to do aim assist in that game, because it just does all the work for you. And like the whole point of that game is, you know, you play a little bit, you know how like fast Apex is? Like the whole point of it is needing to have skill to like actually shoot people when they're blazing past you at light speed.
Yeah, I hate it.
But the controller can't miss. The controller can't fucking miss. So if you played Apex on controller, I think you'd actually like it.
Maybe. I had it downloaded to my phone at one point and then deleted it, because I have a controller for my phone.
Yeah, check it out.
That's how I do Call of Duty. Call of Duty Mobile is still the supreme. I love Call of Duty Mobile.
Oh, the mobiles. I never really dabble in them, but you like that one the best out of the ones you tried?
Call of Duty Mobile is great. If I get
Forgive everybody, it's the mold. It's the mold speaking.
if I get the thermal scope for my sniper rifle, that is so broken, and I will win. I'm sorry, but I will win. And no, it's not because other people are playing touchscreen. When you plug your controller in, there's a message that appears at the top of the screen that since I'm using an external device for controls, I will be paired only with people using external device for controls. So I'm playing against other people that are using a controller like I am. I'm not playing against some poor SOB trying to do the touchscreen. But that thing, you fucking radiate. I can see you from halfway across the map. And I suck at sniper rifles in every game except that one. So I'm sure there's some amount of aim assist going on, but they do it in such a way that I don't notice it. And if I can get that controller, you will just light up like a beacon, and I will win. I've won every match I've had that.
If only they could make their actual games any good, because Call of Duty has been shit for probably like 8 years in a row.
Well,
now.
what I've been waiting for is, Windows is going to be able to run like Android apps soon. Like they've been deploying stuff on Windows to make that possible without using an emulator, just natively.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've really been wanting is for them to go ahead and port Call of Duty Mobile over. But since the new iPhone will have USB-C, I already have a dock that I use with my Steam Deck and my Switch. So,
so the iPhone 15 has USB-C?
It does.
I didn't think they were going to fucking get around to doing that. That's pretty cool.
They had to because of Europe. Europe required all devices to have USB-C.
Thank you, Europe, because that was always very obnoxious of Apple.
Yeah, you're talking about two different command chains to have one Lightning and one USB-C, so they took a couple of years to switch everything over. So.
Europe is like really fucking OCD about the power stuff, too. They have like voltage limiters on a lot of their like appliances, which is kind of crazy. Like they're really, really like they will go postal on you. I mean, granted, like I don't know how you don't just like cheat the system, because like there's some of the appliances and devices and stuff that I've seen, mostly like the electronics, you designate which like area you're using. So I don't know what's stopping you from just clicking the higher option.
Yeah.
But I feel like they'll probably send like a Clockwork Orange unit to terrorize you at your house if you run at 120 volts instead of 80. Yeah.
You know what they did to Microsoft, right?
What's that?
The thing that held up Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard King is they were concerned about the cloud gaming stuff. So what Microsoft had to agree to is for the next 10 years, all Microsoft, Xbox, Activision, Blizzard, and King games get all of their cloud streaming through Ubisoft.
Interesting.
A third party that was standing on the outside that had nothing to do with anything happening. They're not affiliated with anybody involved in any way. But all the cloud gaming stuff has to go through Ubisoft. Ubisoft's in charge of that. If they agreed to that, then they were allowed to buy Activision Blizzard King. So they're like, fuck it, whatever, and just signed on the dotted lines. They've been trying to do this deal for like 2 years now. And they finally got it by letting Ubisoft have the cloud gaming for Xbox for the next 10 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Everyone was just kind of like, begging your pardon, governor? Like, what?
Yeah.
So, yeah, Ubisoft owns a few people in Europe, it seems.
Yeah, and Ubisoft, like just perennial good decision maker across the board.
You know how Yves Guillemot and the whole Guillemot clan over there they're just killing it right now, Like they're just doing so good.
So after they own those people, do they make them run outside and like go collect 20 watchtowers and just collect a whole bunch of flags? Do some...
I thought for some reason he just asked me if they run outside and scream Mortal Kombat. Have you seen those commercials that people just run out in the street and scream that at the top of their lungs?
Yeah.
That's where my brain went.
Oh,
So,
my
quick
goodness.
question for you.
Okay.
What? It can be a scenario from anything, but what, like, Earth or like your city is under attack scenario do you think you could survive?
I think probably the easiest one to survive is a zombie apocalypse, depending on the zombies. If we're not
Well,
talking like,
why? Because you take yourself out when it starts?
I mean that's fair. There's I always got that in my back pocket. But I feel like
I'm saving this one shot.
Because it's like the one situation, because like the alternative like scenario is typically like an alien invasion, right? And I feel like an alien invasion, they're gonna be smarter than us because we're humans and we're fucking stupid.
What about
And
kaiju?
I feel like kaiju kills us too.
I feel like Jaegers kill us, dude.
Dude, having to put on a fucking piece of cloth to go in and buy Pop-Tarts for 15 minutes about killed everybody. So like I don't think we're equipped to take out kaiju. I don't think we're equipped to take out anything.
I guess we did just live through one, didn't we? Because another one is usually plague.
Yeah, we didn't do that great at that. Some people did, but some people did not. And I feel like zombie apocalypse gives us the best shot because if there's one thing people love doing is going out and shooting things. And if the entire way to conquer the apocalypse is walking out and just like every day shoot some fucking zombies.
Like in The Walking Dead when they just had the fence patrols just going along the fence stabbing zombies in the head.
Yeah, because like it's like some people say it's like the zombie apocalypse is conquerable because they're a finite resource. If you just clear them in waves and don't have people hiding their bites and stuff.
Yeah.
You can take it. You can take them out. It's definitely like a pain in the ass, and it's gonna wipe out probably like half the species. But I feel like an alien invasion, it's just over. I don't think we're equipped to handle. What's your answer?
Oh, I'm just dead in any of them. I have zero survival skills of any kind. I don't even know how to cook, so it doesn't really matter what ends the world. I don't think I'm surviving any of them.
I think once I'm at like 6 months of eating nothing but beans and SpaghettiOs, that's the point I just offered myself because like I gotta have something better to eat.
Because you can't take the farts anymore.
Yeah, I just can't take. I'm living with Ron. He just won't stop. I can't fucking sleep. It's just I'm taking myself out.
Goddamn trumpet band upstairs. Yeah. Now I'm trying to think. Like, I mean, I'm definitely becoming a pod person, right? The monster in Nope is definitely eating me first. Like hell coming to Earth, I'm instantly dead. I'm just kind of looking back through here. Yeah, I don't know.
I'd be really bad in a.
I'm sawing off my own head in Hereditary.
If you're in more, it's more of like a small scale scenario. But like I was just watching Deep Blue Sea the other day.
Oh man, I'm
like bits and pieces.
I live in a landlocked state and I'm dead.
But like I can barely swim, so I'm fucked in that scenario. So that's out of the question. Yeah, I think zombie apocalypse, I don't have like the best survival skills either, but some of that is just like common sense, I would say. Like you can apply common sense to taking out a zombie problem. You can't take like common sense and take out an alien invasion problem or supernatural problem. You're just fucked because you're out of your element.
I know the Ghostbusters handled it pretty well.
I mean, they did, but we'd cross the streams, bro. Like we would absolutely
Total
cross the streams.
protonic reversal.
Oh, the one thing I can't do is cross the streams. All of America instantly crossing the streams.
Right.
Yeah. You don't tell me what this is America, man. You don't tell me what to do.
The problem with zombie apocalypse is if it gets to the point that all of society breaks down, right? And we're all living out in the woods and we're just as fearful of each other as we are zombies. The biggest problem is, oh no, I got this tiny little scratch on my hand that is completely innocuous and I got it from like tree bark or some shit, gathering firewood. I'm sure that'll be fine. And then like a week later, I'm dead from gangrene and infection.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem.
But you know what? Like humanity survived the Middle Ages. We survived caveman times. Like,
did I tell you that I watched a Mark Dacascos zombie movie some years ago now, and the thing that I remember the most from that movie is he still has the internet and he still has electricity, and he's like the last man on Earth, or at least so he thinks, like I Am Legend style. And I just remember watching this movie, like, because he's doing the I Am Legend thing of like putting out the radio signal or whatever, looking for someone else to answer back, but he's doing it on like message boards on the internet. And I'm just sitting there like, where's the power coming from? Who's maintaining the servers? Like,
yeah.
Like, what is happening?
It's Elon.
Yeah. Well, it's just like in the zombie apocalypse, we still have the internet, dude. Solved. I'm good. Like, I don't. That's the depository of all of humankind's knowledge. I can survive with that.
Of course, what you'd actually be doing is just playing Spider-Man 2 on Steam. That's all you'd be spending your time doing. But that's a fair way to spend the apocalypse, I would say. Is
like gasoline apparently never goes bad in this universe, because I don't know if you know this, but if you store gasoline for like a year, it's just jelly. It's just Vaseline in the goddamn container.
Yeah.
So apparently gasoline never goes bad, because he'd be looking for cars, and if they were a stick shift, he would do the rolling start thing, and then they would just start up and just run. Yeah, it was the whole thing. I was just like, hang on. Like, I don't remember anything about the story. I don't remember anything else that was happening. She's like, who is maintaining this infrastructure? Yeah.
I will never forget you complaining about the fucking Jeep batteries in Jurassic World.
I stand by what I said.
I will never fucking forgive you for that.
I stand by.
You're not wrong, Ron. You're just an asshole. Okay.
Hey, I don't have a problem with her running from a T-Rex in high heels.
Neither do I. I have a problem with you having a problem with the Jeep batteries instead of the fucking...
It wouldn't work.
Instead of the fucking
It's not just the batteries. It's the coil. It's the goddamn wiring has been eaten by rats. All of the gas lines are filled with what used to be gasoline and is now Vaseline.
No one is arguing with. No one said you're wrong. You're just an asshole.
Those wheels will not turn on that vehicle. It's been sitting too long. The hubs are seized.
You just you grab a sled, and then you just use the dinosaurs as just find like a medium-sized dinosaur and then just make a dog sled. And then
they did like a montage of them fixing up this Jeep that just came down to them swapping out a dead battery with another dead corroded battery, and it worked.
It was just a callback for fans so that they can see the Jeeps again from the first movie, and Ron is pointing at the fucking theater screen like goddamn Donald Sutherland theater body snatchers calling bullshit on the Jeeps. You in the middle of the silent theater doing the body snatcher pod person screech because of the fucking Jeep batteries is the most Ron thing I can possibly fucking think of.
Okay, here's the thing. Okay. One, if a woman was wearing high heels and had to run, she'd probably just kick them off. But you could run in high heels with a higher chance of survivability than getting that goddamn Jeep running.
You're also, just as a side note, when you're getting chased by a T-Rex, you're not exactly probably thinking very, accurately, and you kind of like just running on your adrenaline because there's a fucking 30-foot tall T-Rex attacking you, dude.
If you wanted to make the argument like you did initially back when we first saw the movie of dinosaurs are walking the earth, why is that your concern? We're in the middle of trying to clone a mammoth that we found. Like, that is happening. That is going to be the reality eventually.
I hope mammoths take over the earth.
Dude, a fucking woolly mammoth? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's the mammoth's time now. We've had our chance.
Pterodactyl.
All right, you want to talk about Event Horizon now? We've been on these tangents for like 30 minutes.
We got to get him out of the way now because we got to focus on the movie.
My goodness. You got any other tidbits about the fucking Jeep batteries in Jurassic World before we move on?
Fucking batteries, man.
The fucking batteries, man.
The fucking batteries.
Fucking batteries. All right. Spoilers for Event Horizon. And just real quickly, like, big recommend for me. I really like Event Horizon. What were your like initial reactions to it? Because you and I basically had the exact same experience of we had both seen this previously, but it was like 10 to 15 years ago where I barely remembered anything.
This is another one of those movies that I watched way too young. Also, so I remembered it being a lot scarier than it is. It's actually kind of tame in a lot of ways.
It almost kind of like works in the movie's favor though, because I like the I like the fact that they lean more on dread than they do like jump scares or just like outright like cheaper scares. Like a lot of it is just like, man, Sam Neill's being kind of creepy. Like, oh, that's some creepy imagery. And then like I actually like how it's relatively tame until it's not, and then you walk around a corner and you see fucking Jason Isaacs strung up like an art exhibit in Hannibal Lecter's like house, and you're just like, holy dude.
Did you read about the production issues this movie had?
I did not. What did you find out about?
This movie was originally a lot longer, and some woman in the test screening fainted. And they made them remove a lot of the gore and remove a lot of the stuff. Like, there's entire sections of the crew. Remember the flash at the end where she's seeing the crew being tortured?
Uh-huh.
That was a whole scene that you were going through in the original.
Interesting. See, I think that would make the movie better by limiting stuff like that.
There was also the original crew, the Event Horizon. You saw like their entire story. Well, when they went through the logs.
See, what's interesting though is I think removing all that stuff adds to like the quality of it, because it makes it more. You are discovering this stuff in a limited fashion, just like your main characters would be. You know, trying to like get on the ship and figure out what the fuck happened. I like that better than having it kind of like spoon fed to you personally.
They had 4 weeks of post-production time. And they had to get it out the door because Paramount wanted something to go out the door to compete with Titanic.
That worked out well.
Yeah, it was a critical and box office failure.
Man. So, because like, but the biggest issue with the movie is its special effects to me. It has a lot of bad special effects, but I forgive it because it's a fucking late 90s movie. So, of course, it has bad special effects. Like, fucking everything did.
It went through several editing passes, and then they're like, that's enough. No more editing. Just put it out.
What's interesting is, like, the practical stuff is really good. I like a lot of the practical stuff. It's just like Sam Neill's prosthetic when his eyes are stitched together is really good. It looks really cool. Like he is,
and the way he's moving his head is fucking haunting too.
Sam Neill in the last like 30 minutes of this movie, it, like makes the movie. It's fucking awesome, dude. Watching him just be creepy, and but at the same time he's likable still because it's Sam goddamn Neill, you know. I like his performance a lot.
Underrated and underutilized probably in his career. Sam Neill.
Agreed. It's like it's so weird because he's been in some huge properties throughout the years, but I
he's always kind of an afterthought to everyone. It's like if you bring up Sam Neill, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, the guy's fucking awesome," but no one thinks of him first.
And then in some of his like best movies, it's like unlucky in that the movie itself is like criminally underrated. Like In the Mouth of Madness is to me like one of the best horror movies of the 80s and 90s, and no one ever talks about it because it's, you know, it's just a small kind of like cult classic. You know, it sucks that not as many people have seen that as they should. But I'll run through the cast and crew. So interestingly, this is a Paul W.S. Anderson movie before he was credited as Paul W.S. Anderson. He was just Paul Anderson at the beginning of the movie, which was interesting.
See, he pulled a Larry Fishburne.
He did. I would have sworn he spent his entire career as Paul W.S. Anderson, but that is not the case. Yeah, we found this out when we were going through the various IMDb pages. Does anyone else like know that Alien versus Predator was like written and directed by him? Because I had no fucking clue. No clue at all. If I had ever known that, I had totally forgotten.
I don't think I ever knew that.
It's wild because you'd think you and I would know that.
Yeah. Yeah, especially since I'm on record as liking those movies.
I had no idea. For those unaware, Paul W.S. Anderson, or Paul Anderson,
however you may know him,
probably best known, I would say, for the Resident Evil series, which he is like, didn't he direct like all 15 of them? He's like, so you're going to tell me I'm going to get paid money to go film my wife kick ass for like 6 weeks and make a mediocre to bad to sometimes kind of good zombie movie? Like, sign me up. It's like, you can't blame the guy for doing that.
Those movies are always good, even when they're bad. I like those movies.
I think a couple of them are decent. I think like the first and like the third one.
You mean great.
I think the first and third one are like decent, and the majority of the rest of them are either bad or like so bad they're good.
Hey Jeff, how do you think Pompeii ends? Do you think the ship sinks in Pompeii?
Well, so as the volcano is erupting, Sam Neill walks out with stitched eyes, and he's like, "We're gonna walk into the volcano."
I thought you were gonna tell me that Doctor Who has to pull the lever.
And the other thing, he directed the 90s Mortal Kombat.
That is the movie that got him the option of what movie he wanted to do next, and he chose Event Horizon.
And God bless him, because Event Horizon is my favorite movie.
And Mortal Kombat is still probably the greatest video game adaptation of all time.
I would counter with Willy's Wonderland. Just because I will direct anyone that wants to argue that to the image of Nicolas Cage plunging a haunted murder animatronic on our Twitter background. Yeah, there you go, Ron. Attaboy, way to plug the Twitter. Sorry, way to plug the X.
Dude, he directed Soldier. I pointed out Soldier to you earlier.
I don't think I've ever seen Soldier.
Well, that's your fault.
Is it good?
Yeah, I like Soldier. It's Kurt Russell, dude.
I love Kurt Russell. Jason Isaacs is in it too. It's a lot of the people. Sean Pertwee. A lot of the supporting actors from Event Horizon.
I say Sean Pertwee like I knew that before we did this episode.
Gary Busey. In that, crazy.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, I don't think I don't even know what it's about. Like I'm aware of its existence, but I just
So since I'm already going to mention it a couple of times in this podcast, the Rick Brown series of books that I listen to, the super soldier characters in that are basically Soldier.
Okay.
But with super suits on top of the fact that they are super soldiers and that they are trained from birth on all disciplines, including warfare, physics, mathematics, everything. They're super intelligent and super powerful soldiers, and then they are given suits that intensify their strength and their abilities, and uses AI. So just like that scene in Iron Man 2, they can shoot in 3 different directions like War Machine. Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Sorry, I haven't been commenting very much. I'm just fucking depressed as hell after I realized the first Resident Evil movie came out 21 years ago, and I want to just go like fucking cry in a corner.
But I recommend Soldier, and then there's a sequel that I actually liked. I can't think of its title at the moment.
Is it Soldiers?
The dollar sign at the end. Dude, I love the first thing that comes up when you click on Kurt Russell is him as fucking Santa Claus.
Nice.
Yeah, let's see if I can find that real quick while you continue.
Yeah, he also, so it's weird. He's been in so Paul W.S. Anderson has been making movies since like the mid 90s. You'd think he'd have more credits. He only has directed like 17 movies and a couple of like shorts, like a couple TV movie type things. It's very weird because like overall, between all of these like 10,000 Resident Evil movies he's made and AVP and like some of these things are like ones that even though like nothing he's ever made has been like critically acclaimed, you'd think there'd be like enough like box office revenue between all these for him to continue making more. Maybe he just is choosy about his stuff. But then you see him make Monster Hunter and I'm like, are you choosy about your stuff or are you just weird? I don't know.
But maybe he's apparently
Monster Hunter. Apparently Monster Hunter is like one of the worst movies ever made. I have not seen it. Hearing that makes me want to watch it more because I want to see how bad it is.
I have not seen it. I have not played it. I know nothing about it.
I know very little about it. Of course, isn't it fucking Jovovich like kicking ass? Because that's
Yes.
all he does is film his wife kicking ass for 6 weeks, and then calls it like a day. Like I don't know.
Who speaking of, who directed Ultraviolet? Was that him? No, Kurt Wimmer also wrote it.
Was Jovovich in that? I thought that was.
Oh yeah, she's Violet.
Wait, which one? What's the other?
Blood Rain.
Eon Flux.
Oh yeah, that was Charlize Theron.
I get that and Ultraviolet mixed up. Like they're the exact same thing in my head. Like even their posters are kind of similar. If you actually look at them, like A/B test them like next to each other, it's pretty funny.
Nice.
So what are your thoughts overall on Paul W.S. Anderson as a director?
I like him. He's never stood out to me one way or the other.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a bummer that he kind of went down the route of just making Resident Evil sequels and weird projects like Monster Hunter, because so he got like you said, he kind of got like a blank check to make whatever he wanted in the late 90s after Mortal Kombat, and he made Event Horizon, and Event Horizon is like a lot of fun. It's not particularly original because a lot of its concepts are just like copy pasted from Hellraiser, but I still like it. It's a fun setting. Dead Space is actionably Event Horizon.
Yes.
Dead Space should have been like John Carpenter-esque sued for how similar it is to Event Horizon.
Evidently, and I didn't know this because I've never played any of the games, but evidently one of the things cited for Event Horizon is Warhammer 40K.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not know this, but while Event Horizon is its own thing, the Warhammer 40K lore includes Event Horizon as a prequel because it adapted their concepts so well that even the people that make and write the source material for Warhammer 40K include Event Horizon in their source material.
That's really cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, I had no idea, and that is one of the things cited as an influence, because evidently when you jump in Warhammer 40K, when you jump your ship, it goes through a hell dimension, and if your ship is not properly shielded against that, then it invades the ship, and the ship kind of comes to life. And
that's really cool. Yeah, I had no idea that was even like a thing.
Yeah, that's apparently where some of the concepts for the movie, like that instance, came from. And Warhammer 40K was like, yeah, all right, and they just included it. They just absorbed it. And I guess no one stopped them. So
yeah. Because it's the same thing, but they like showed their work, I guess. You know?
I guess so.
So also interesting. So the writer for this is Philip Eisner, who has only written 4 things. His only like credited movies or miniseries are Event Horizon, Firestarter 2, a TV miniseries, Mutant Chronicles, which I do not know what that is, and Sweet Girl, which I also am not familiar with, but Sweet Girl has Momoa in it, which is interesting.
Oh, wow. Yeah, Philip Eisner wrote the original script, but when Anderson got it, he did heavy rewrites.
Okay.
He threw out a ton of what Eisner did.
What is also interesting, I was looking at his IMDb bio. Philip Eisner teaches screenwriting at UCLA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he teaches screenwriting on and off at the UCLA Extension Writers Program and serves as a writing mentor through Cinestory.
You know what? He's written 4 more things than I have, and they've all gone to screen.
Yeah.
But apparently in the original script, the concept was haunted house, but what in space, and that's what it was. And Paul Anderson said in an interview that he liked that idea, but he felt like the original script, it still had kind of like a boogeyman on board the ship. He wanted it to be the ship itself, and he rewrote it so that it goes to the hell dimension, the ship comes to life, brings back like an evil consciousness with it. And like the problem is not that there is something on board the ship. The problem is that you are inside the ship. and you need to get the fuck out of the ship.
I think it does some really interesting stuff with that, actually.
Yeah.
Because yes, like the cookie cutter concept would have been
It sounds like what Sunshine kind of did, right? With Mark Strong.
Which I love that movie too. I think if you had like a double feature of this and Sunshine.
Man, that's a good night.
That's a hell of a
weird
fucking
night, but that's a good night.
Yeah, it's a weird night because like the movies like take the same kind of like core premise, but then go in like drastically different directions, and each have a fantastic cast.
Yes.
So they're eerily
Ensemble.
similar, and both like to me like especially Sunshine like very underrated. Event Horizon has kind of come around to be like a cult classic. Like Event Horizon is really beloved in like junk food cinema style circles. Like they had covered this a long time ago.
Based on the research I did, no one was more surprised about the DVD sales than Paramount was, because no one saw this movie in theaters. And when it came out,
everyone was watching Titanic 10 times in a row, or being dragged to Titanic 10 times in a row, because that's all anyone did. All everyone did for like an entire year was go fucking see Leo and Kate Winslet on the boat for 4 hours, which I will never understand because I don't find that movie particularly good, but it made $2 billion. So
that's the most overinflated movie in like movie history, as far as I can tell.
Until James Cameron topped himself by making Avatar, which is even worse in that regard of like people just go out in droves to see that. There's something in the fucking movie that I swear to God puts people into a trance and makes them want to go back and watch it again.
It's the length of the movie.
The only thing I could think of is he's actually like hypnotizing people, because other than that, what is there to like in Titanic and Avatar? I don't get it.
So I can find more joy in Avatar than I can Titanic. I don't like either one of those movies, but if you gave me the choice between them, I'm going to choose Avatar.
Can I choose ripping my eyes out and stitching the lids back together and then just jettison myself out into space? Because I think that's the superior option.
No, this movie had a really weird trajectory, dude, because no one saw it in theaters, and then the DVDs just flew off the fucking shelves. And did you read anything about the lost footage of this movie?
I did no research about this.
Okay.
Everything, I feel like I knew some of these tidbits like a long time ago, back when I first discovered this movie for the first time, like 12 years ago or whatever it was. I had forgotten everything. I know nothing.
I knew nothing about this movie's development, and I got really fascinated by it because the fact that this movie came out of that hell dimension at all is interesting, because it just went through so many rewrites and so many problems and budget problems and all kinds of shit, editing problems.
It's so funny. Like, I think all of those problems make the movie better. Because, like, my favorite thing about Event Horizon is the fact that it's 90 minutes long. Because Event Horizon doesn't fuck around. Like,
it was like 2.5 hours originally.
It's like 15 minutes, and they're already like, they're already past like the stasis part, and like they're about to board the ship. And I love that about it because, excuse me, like I bet like the original, like you said, it probably had like a 30-minute like kind of prologue following the original crew. And if you see what happens to start off the film, that really loses some of the tension to me, because I like the idea of you boarding this ship that has mysteriously vanished. It pops up like 7 or 8 years later or whatever it was, you know, like it pops up 7 years later, and you're investigating it. And just like it's really like the touch where they're getting like all kinds of like bio readings, but there's no like life on board is super cool and creepy. Like I think there's a lot of like really good foundational horror build up in this.
The screen showing the scan wash over the ship and showing the entire ship is alive.
It's so good.
That's one of the coolest things in movies, because it's telling you, the audience, something that you understand as possible because you bought a ticket to the movie, or didn't. You bought the DVD. And the people in the movie know that that can't be possible. That has to be a malfunction.
Right.
Like, that is so cool. But
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, so this movie flies off the shelves, right? And then Paramount is like, hey, all that shit we made you cut out of the movie, put it back in a director's cut. And they can't. It's been destroyed.
Has it really? Is that why there's
Yes.
no director's cut? That's tragic. Because like
So-
people would have really liked to have seen those extra scenes.
The only thing that exists is they put out a special edition that has a deleted scene and then like 2 or 3 scenes in the so the deleted scene was put back in the movie, and then there is a featurette that has 2 or 3 scenes that are unfinished, like the special effects are unfinished and stuff. But there is supposedly let me see who has it. Supposedly years later, a VHS tape supposedly surfaced from a different director.
From a different dimension.
From a different director, a producer. In a 2012 interview, it was revealed that producer Lloyd Levin found a VHS tape with the original cut, the original movie. He found this out after he finished Resident Evil Retribution, which is like number 18 in the series or something.
1800.
Yeah. So they were going to look at it, but then apparently that producer moves to Spain and still has the tape, and Paul W.S. Anderson has never seen it. He has no idea if it's legit or not or anything.
What?
So there's this
That's wild.
mystical VHS tape out there somewhere with the original like 2.5 hour cut of the film on it.
Bro, if you're not gonna give it back to them so they can like rip it into like an actual new Blu-ray, sell that shit as like a collector's item, because like that being like the only copy, even though it's like a fairly obscure movie in the grand scheme of things, that thing would make fucking bank at an auction.
Can you imagine? Like, my God, that's like what is that group that only put out that one album that, like, I don't remember if Bezos had it or somebody had it.
Oh yeah, I remember. I don't remember who it was, but I mean, I know what you're talking about.
I feel like I should know who it was.
Yeah, I can't put my finger on it, but I know.
But you know what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, like it was up there with that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that lost a lot of its emphasis, not saying who, but it's up there with that, I tell you.
Or maybe it's like the Ring VHS, where everyone who watches it dies in 7 days. Sam Neill shows up to your fucking apartment, man, and he's just like
Lloyd Levin had to have taped over it, right? Thinking it was his wedding when he taped over it or something.
Taped over with Titanic.
Yeah, like he taped over like a TNT showing of Titanic. Or something like that. That has to be why no one's ever seen this, right? And then Paramount wanted Anderson to do both a prequel and a sequel to the movie, and they just never could get together to make it happen. And the most baffling thing is everybody agreed to do a TV series. In 2019, they started development, and it just disappeared into the hell dimension. Like, no one. Adam Wingard was supposed to direct it.
Oh fuck! I remember that being announced, because it made me excited. I remember that now, which I had forgotten about. To your point, like I remember being super stoked when I read about that when it was making the rounds that it was coming back, and then it just went into development hell coincidentally. Like
the paper trail ends there. It reported to be in development in 2019, and I cannot find any more information on this goddamn thing. It's just gone.
Man.
Yeah, this movie is so fucking weird. Like,
yeah,
so much of this movie went into the hell dimension and didn't come out.
But it's so funny that like I can't like harp on it enough. Like, so many of the strengths of the movie. So here's the thing. The ending, if they had more of the drawn out like tortures type scenes, you know, like where they're all like strung up on chains and weird like just medieval torture device looking things, that makes it less cool, because that is the stuff that is just straight from Hellraiser, like it just to a T. And that those parts just being like little snippets is kind of cool, because it shows like them reacting to just getting brief glimpses are enough to like, it's like Lovecraftian, you know, like where just the glimpses of the thing are enough to turn you insane a little bit.
There's
And that's kind of cool, but like we don't need to see that shit like in its entirety to me.
yeah, supposedly the meeting between Weir and people discussing the Event Horizon was longer. You get Cooper and Justin's backstory for some reason. There's a
Don't
deleted
need any of that shit. Don't
there's
need any of that.
There's a deleted backstory between Stark and Miller. There's a scene. Here's the thing I'm glad is gone. There's a scene that explains exactly what the gateway to hell / the black hole is. I don't like it when you explain shit.
It makes it so much cooler when to this day we still don't know jack shit about like the full extent of the presence. I don't even know like what you'd call it, like the ship, like the
presence is a good a good descriptor. The Miller finds a tooth floating. Cool. You put that under your
It would have been a very
bad.
It would have been a very bad unnecessary CGI effect from 1997.
There is
a prosthetic one.
There's a longer scene where Peter sees her son with the mangled legs.
Having that be very, very cryptic and not explained at all makes it cool because we still don't know the full story of like what happened with the kid.
There's a scene where Weir hallucinates that Justin turns into his wife. There's a bloodier version of Weir's wife's suicide, and a longer scene with DJ's vivisected body. And a longer version of the Visions from Hell scene during the final fight with Weir, and more shots of the crew being tortured. And apparently that bloody orgy is longer. The quote-unquote bloody orgy is what it says here. And then in the other scenes with them being tortured and stuff and mutilated are also described as pornographic. They even hired pornographic film actors for those scenes and used real-life amputees for those scenes.
Interesting.
Yeah, like they went whole hog on these scenes.
Yeah, those are the aspects of it that make it like very Hellraiser. Because I don't think you've seen Hellraiser, but Hellraiser is very focused.
If Hellraiser is what I'm thinking of, then yeah, I've seen it. Is that Pinhead?
That's Pinhead. Yeah,
I've seen it.
You've seen? Have you seen the second one?
Nope.
The
first
second
one was enough.
The second one is pretty cool. The second one is batshit.
The first one doesn't sell the second one very well.
The second one is I like the second one better than the first one. I like the first one okay, but the second one's a lot better.
But yeah, all of that shit is on that VHS tape supposedly.
Yeah, to the extent it's Hellraiser to the extent that like elements of the ship, such as like the core and stuff, just look like a giant limit configuration.
Yeah,
it's like I'd actually be interested to see. Oh God, who's the fucking Clive Barker. I'd be curious to see like what because like Clive Barker is a type where there have been lots of stuff that is like so Hellraiser, he will just kind of let the people incorporate it into like the mythos. And I'd be curious if this was one where he was like, yeah, it's if you want to consider it Hellraiser, like it's basically, I know like you said, it ended up being kind of like retconned into being Warhammer 40K, but it would also pass as Hellraiser mythos to me, because it's very similar. Let's talk about the rest of the cast though. So we'd mentioned several times Sam Neill, who is just fucking awesome in this. Sam Neill, I think, does a really, really good job in this movie of how in the first half of the movie he kind of goes through the paces of like kind of being the protagonist, but it's a slow development of him becoming like progressively more of a dick to the rest of the cast and more like villainous. I think it's kind of cool because you follow him at the beginning of the movie like he's gonna be the good guy, like they go through the paces of him being the good guy, and I think Sam Neill is like an excellent choice for this, to where you see Sam Neill, your brain reverts to for Gen Pop reverts to Alan Grant. He's the good guy. I was
gonna say Daybreakers.
They revert back to they think of Sam Neill in that way, but Sam Neill can play fucking really, really dark characters, even like just as good as he can likable characters. I think he was an excellent choice. Lawrence Fishburne is, holy hell, like he fucking commands the room several times in this movie. He has some like awesome what is his quote? Let me try to find the quote, but I fucking love his "fuck this ship" line towards the end. It's so good. Here it is.
Okay.
I have no. So, what about my ship? You can't just leave her. I have no intention of leaving your doctor. I will take the Lewis and Clark to a safe distance, and then I will launch TAC missiles at the event horizon until I'm satisfied she's vaporized. Fuck this ship. It's so good.
Yeah, he has the undying, unquestioning loyalty of his crew, and for that to happen, like that, just infers what kind of leader he is, right?
Yeah.
And what I really like about his character is he is only that person because of how haunted he is by something in his past that comes to light in the movie. No
yeah,
pun
and the way
intended.
that and the way that he kind of like redeems himself a bit by refusing to let Stark die. That seems
Yes.
really cool. Dude, the editing on that scene as you constantly are cutting back to like the bar that is being like crushed by the blast door,
yeah.
closing.
It's
the
so
editing
stressful.
of that the editing of that scene is like perfect. It's so stressful and it's so intense, and you see the like the bar thing that he is using to keep it pried open just constantly kind of like being crushed, and yeah, just like great scene. We also have Kathleen Quinlan, who plays Peters. People will probably recognize her face because she's been in like thousands of TV shows over the years. Jolie Richardson plays Stark, who we had mentioned, who similarly has been in just 1,000 different things, and you will recognize her. You just won't be able to figure out from what specifically.
I think for me, my biggest one is probably this, which is why I can't hammer it down.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I like her. She's in a ton of stuff that I have seen, and she's always awesome in whatever role they put her in.
Yeah, I like her a lot too. We also have Richard T. Jones as Cooper, who is kind of like
Where do you
the comedic-
land on Cooper?
I think some of his scenes are
Really forced, right?
really forced and like really over the top and like a
But then
cringy.
he comes in and totally redeems himself at times.
Yeah, dude, it's a roller coaster ride with Cooper, man. And the fact that he ends up being one of the ones to survive is
I
kind of
know.
awesome. It's fucking awesome, is what it is.
Like, what?
dude. When he gets jettisoned into fucking space in like in a like full spin,
Yeah.
and for a second you're like, oh my god, that is an awful way to go, because you're just gonna slowly die out there because you're gonna be just chilling in space until you run out of air.
Plenty
and
of
then-
time to
and then that's
contemplate
it.
your doom.
Plenty of time to just realize how fucked you are, and then for him to get out of that and be one of the only ones to survive is kind of awesome. But some of his lines are genuinely funny. Some of his lines are like so forced and so out of place that I think they are foreshadowing to some of the really cringy elements of Paul W.S. Anderson in the future. Because like similarly, like the Resident Evil movies have some stuff that is like like genuinely good, and then 5 minutes later, after doing something genuinely good, they'll do something like fucking cringe as hell. And it's just a roller coaster ride with him sometimes. So to answer your question, I don't know. I do not know. We also have Jack Noseworthy as Justin, another character actor. I swear to God, I've seen him in something specific that I remember him from. Couldn't fucking tell you for my life what he's been in.
Let me take a look. I didn't actually look at him.
People will recognize immediately that Jason Isaacs as DJ.
Oh yeah, Jason Isaacs is fucking
Who doesn't
awesome.
love Jason Isaacs, by the way? Like
He's
Jason
so
Isaacs.
good.
Has he ever had a bad performance? I don't think so.
I
think
don't
he
think so,
is
no.
incredible in everything, regardless of what type of character he is or how much screen time he gets. Like
One
he brings it.
of the best performances he ever did as a villain is in The Patriot.
Oh man,
Dude, he's a total dick in The Patriot.
yeah. That scene when he's killing one of the supporting characters, like you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. It's brutal to watch because he can make himself so despicable.
Yeah.
Like it is incredible just how talented he is and how in the span of like 30 seconds he can make you want to reach through the screen and just fucking strangle him because he's so talented. Like, man, love Jason Isaacs.
For younger people in the audience, he is Malfoy's dad in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But
We also
don't hold that against him.
I think he's good in those movies.
Oh, no,
Even
he's
though
good in
he's-
those movies.
yeah.
Those movies just aren't any good.
Yeah. We have Sean Pertwee, which people will recognize from a movie that you and I need to get on this show is Dog Soldiers, because Dog Soldiers is fucking awesome.
So good.
The fact that we've done 80 whatever of these, and we haven't done Dog Soldiers.
And our favorite Universal monster is the werewolf.
Yeah, what the fuck are we doing, man? Like, we're
Nothing good.
nothing good. Sean Pertwee, also recognizable as Alfred in the Gotham TV series, which is a shame that show sucked so bad because he's awesome as Alfred.
Yeah,
he's so good as Alfred in that.
If you want the ex-MI6 agent version of Alfred, perfect casting.
He is also great in limited screen time. The scene in this movie when he finds the bomb, but it only has 4 seconds left. Dude, his reaction when he sees it, and he's been all hyped up because he actually found it. You know, he's excited. He thinks he has a chance to save the ship that they have been fucking working around the clock for like 20 hours to fix. That's so fucked up that like they've been working tirelessly to fix it, and they get it all ready to go. And that's when goddamn Alan Grant finds the fucking bomb and drops it in the ship.
Who's not going to trust Alan Grant? Come on.
Right? So he finds that fucking explosive, and he finds it just in time to see the last 5 seconds of the timer. And he has this facial reaction that just says like 1,000 words, and it's fucking perfect. And it's so heartbreaking because it just, you see his anticipation for finding it just deflate in a nanosecond. And oh, it's heartbreaking and devastating, but such a good performance.
It's not just that he's dying. In his mind, everyone is dead because he failed to find this.
Man, and that is all conveyed perfectly on his face.
Yeah.
It's a great bit of acting, and yeah, I really like Sean.
And this comes on the heels of Lawrence Fishburne like telling him like no mistakes because mistakes mean we're dead, right?
Yeah, they're fucked because like when they first board the Event Horizon, there's a situation that happens where they pretty much are they're pumping out CO2 naturally, which is going to kill them once they run out of like actual oxygen in like 20 hours. So they're on like a really, really severe timer because if they don't get out in 20 hours, they're dead. So that's why they've been working around the clock to fix the fucking like hull breach. Also, that scene with the hull being breached is really intense.
Oh yeah,
that's what's so weird is like, I think this movie is like a microcosm of Paul W.S. Anderson's like entire career because the guy has some talent.
Yeah,
he has stuff in almost all of his movies that, you know, like they display like the guy sometimes really knows what he's doing. It's just for whatever reason, some of his stuff just when you combine it into like a whole, it doesn't live up to like what he's capable of, and it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I don't think he's a visionary, but I don't think he is a safe like Ron Howard level of director, right? Like I like Ron Howard as a director, but I think you can't go more safe than Ron Howard.
Yeah, very vanilla.
Yeah,
and like you got to respect the guy going for it, you know.
Yeah, and you know, so I don't think he's a visionary or anything, but like, you know, like you said, there's some talent there. He just, I don't know. Maybe it's because the movies he chooses to do are kind of not necessarily cookie cutter, but aren't exactly standouts either. His talent probably doesn't just stand out to me as much.
Yeah, it's just a very interesting dude. Even if you hate all of his stuff, I think you can at least look at his career and find it intriguing. Just like some of the projects he would end up doing. Like we've said, like there's a few scenes in Event Horizon which are fucking top notch. Like,
oh yeah,
it's just his like the spectrum in which he can like land with his direction is like it tops out like near like fucking Ridley Scott level, but it plummets down to like Michael Bay level.
Yeah,
he's like fucking Cooper like flying through space, man. He's just spinning and spinning and spinning. You don't know where he's gonna land, dude.
I think this is his best work.
I agree.
Whether you dislike this movie or Mortal Kombat, or if you love them, it doesn't matter. There's genuine talent in both of those movies. If you've seen Mortal Kombat,
what are your thoughts on Mortal Kombat, by the way?
I love that movie.
See, I saw it so long ago. Similar to this, I don't remember it at all. I would have to watch it again.
So good.
I remember Christopher Lambert is fucking is like Raiden, right? Isn't he that dude?
Yes, he's Raiden. Yes.
Raiden.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he's Raiden.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Everyone's only ever seen that name written. So everybody pronounces it different, and everybody is correct.
Everybody is correct and incorrect at the same time.
But yeah, no, I like that movie. I like Annihilation. Everybody hates Annihilation, but I like Annihilation.
Don't think I ever saw it. I think I just saw.
Well, that's
the
on
first
you.
One. Isn't Annihilation one of the like notoriously like hated movies of all time?
Oh yeah, some people think it's the worst movie ever made.
I feel like every movie that is potentially the worst movie ever made is one that Ron absolutely loves.
I love it.
You love those movies. I would probably watch it and fall in with the crowd of hating it.
Probably, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the secret about the Mortal Kombat movies. They are up there with like Bloodsport and like all of the other like let's just have a couple of dudes punch each other. What if some of them have powers? That is never not entertaining. So even if the movie is bad, you're going to see some really cool action and some really cool fight scenes, and you're still going to have a good time.
We need to have that supposedly brutally painful to watch Double Dragon movie on the podcast.
It's pretty bad.
That'd be fun to watch. Because if it's like that type of movie and Ron thinks it's bad, you know it's fucking brutal. Because you love those types of movies.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember even the fight choreography being boring.
They covered it on Adaptation Decay a few months ago. And listening to them review that movie is like one of my favorite things they've done because they're just like, they're losing their minds over how bonkers and how bad that movie is.
Oh, man.
It's fantastic. It's almost like worth the subscription alone just to get like grab that download.
Here's what I will say. If you want to watch fight choreography and awesome ways to film it, I don't care what your feelings on the dude were, but if you look up on YouTube, there is a fan movie that is Street Fighter versus the Green Ranger. It's like Ryu versus the Green Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
Jason David Frank, right?
Yeah.
He actually reprises the role. He's actually in the YouTube video, and I don't know if people know this now, but he's a fucking legit martial artist. He owned several dojos when he was still with us. He sadly committed suicide a few years ago, but he whoever they had playing, I think it's Ryu. I don't know anything about Street Fighter. Whoever the main guy is, or not Street Fighter. Is it Street Fighter? I don't fucking know. I don't play
Ryu,
fighting
like
games.
Ryu and Chun-Li. That's Street Fighter, right?
Okay, yeah, I think that's what I'm going for. The guy, he's in white with a red headband, and he does like a Hadouken.
I think that's him.
It's him versus Green Ranger, and it's one of the coolest fucking fights that you can watch. It is really cool.
Nice. Also, I think Ryu/Ryu is also a Raiden Raiden situation where everyone loses their shit over what they think is the correct pronunciation, and the correct answer is that it doesn't fucking matter. This is a Street Fighter character, and shut the fuck up.
No, if you say it doesn't matter, you're whitewashing, Jeff.
Because they have fucking didn't they have? Oh no, it was fucking who played Guile in the live action?
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, Jean-Claude. Yeah, it's like I was about to say it's like that, but like I think Guile was an American that they just made.
Well,
the muscles from Brussels himself, Jean-Claude, because was Jean-Claude Van Damme.
You're not gonna make that movie without Van Damme, right?
No, absolutely not.
Like, say what you will about the guy, and he's a shit, but I watched a lot of Van Damme movies growing up.
My dad fucking loves Jean-Claude Van Damme, so I have seen like all of the like Bloodsport and all of that shit. I've seen all of it. I don't remember a fucking lick of any of other than Time Cop. I like Time Cop.
Time Cop's good.
Because so like the thing with Time Cop is
Universal Soldier.
Yeah, Universal Soldier is cool too. I'm all ears. Time Cop was, since I was watching them when I was like 7 years old with my dad, it was like just enough of like a weird sci-fi concept to like intrigue my dumb little nerd brain. So I liked it.
Yeah, I watched a lot of Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Also watched a lot of Steven Seagal movies with my dad because he likes Steven Seagal as well. Watched a lot of people unnecessarily get their arms broken and their neck snapped, so that was pretty cool.
Bring it on!
Bring it on! Oh jeez, I feel like we reference that fucking Steven Seagal Family Guy joke in every episode somehow, and the fact that we can 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, that fucking joke into our
6 degrees of
podcast.
Steven Seagal.
Yeah, 6 degrees of neck break into our show.
I like to watch my Steven Seagal movies at night with headphones so I don't disturb Bonnie.
How do we manage to crowbar that shit in every? That's
I don't know.
Impressive.
It's so good.
So let's run through just some of our different scenes from the movie, because we kind of like talked around a lot of the movie itself. I like how gloriously 90s the intro is, because it just has these this random backdrop of like a bad space special effect. And then it has unnecessarily like Mortal Kombat, like fucking rave music happening around it. I'm just like, this is the most.
Kombat.
It is the most like 90s, like the most unnecessarily 90s opening ever, and I love it because it just takes me back to when the way movies used to be made in the 90s when everything was kind of bad.
Yeah,
it's great. I wish one thing that would make this movie like instantly better in retrospect, watching it now, where the special effects like kind of take you out of it. If instead of everyone having their eyes removed and replaced with that like special effect, if everyone just had these stitched eyes that Sam Neill has, all of those scenes would be much creepier. Because the best scene in the movie is Sam Neill talking with his eyes stitched. Because his performance is so creepy and so like unnerving. The way he's looking around the room with his eyes stitched, like he can still see, and it's really good. I wish they had all of those characters do that.
Yeah, it's the problem is it came out in 1997, so we have to push the technology of the future, right? The future of movie making. We had to do everything with CGI as much as possible.
They had the same thing happening that we talked about similarly in Deep Rising, right? Like when they would have the special effects in that when it wasn't really necessary, but like
Jaws 3D all over again.
But the thing is, it's like you can't really like it sucks revisiting those types of movies now, because you have to forgive it for it. But it's also like, it didn't look bad for the time. We just didn't know any better. We didn't know
it wasn't going to age.
We hadn't fucking seen Avengers Endgame, you know, like with that CGI and shit, like 20 years later, because it didn't fucking exist yet. So it sucks that you kind of like, and some people straight up can't remove themselves from viewing special effects that bad. And they're just like, well, the special effects suck, so I got to turn the movie off. I can forgive it for it, but it does suck that like they have a great practical effect on display within the same movie, but we're going to default to the bad special effect over and over and over again when this alternative is like so good and it's right there for the taking, you know?
Yeah. I've never understood that. Bad special effects, or here's the thing, I don't even think the special effects are bad. I just think they didn't age. And the other thing that makes me extend a little bit of grace to it is knowing that they're supposed to have like 6 or 8 weeks by contract, by union agreements to do post, and they got 4 weeks of that. That was the only thing that they could agree to because they had to race against Titanic. Mm-hmm. Like, that's 4 weeks to edit, do the special effects, do all the cleanup, the audio cleanup, everything.
Yeah, dude, it usually takes that long just to like do the audio properly.
I think usually they say it takes 4 to 6 weeks just to do the editing.
Yeah.
So the fact that they had 0 time in post-production lets me lend a little bit more grace to it. But I mean, you know the shit that I watch. Like, to me, this still holds up. To me, this special effects is just like any other 90s movie, however good or bad. I don't know. It doesn't bother me at all to watch it.
I can so usually what happens for me, so like when I queued up the movie tonight to watch it, I'm watching the beginning of it and my brain will react to like the first time I see it, and I'm like, this is a 90s movie. I have to shut my brain off and forgive it for the bad CG, because like I'll notice it at first and I'll be like, oh, that kind of sucks that this didn't age well, but then that's the end of it, you know. I'll turn off my brain when it comes to that, forgive it, and focus on like what has aged well, like the performances and stuff like that, and like the pretty cool use of the concept. And
that's the other thing too. The concept is solid. The cast is solid. We might not have known that at the time. I don't know how fresh some of these faces were at the time, but I mean, the cast in hindsight is ensemble.
Yeah.
There's so much to it that does hold up and does translate, even in 2023 eyes. I don't know. I can't judge it that harshly.
Yeah, it's what it is. It's like it's not a deal breaker at all. It's just a bit unfortunate that they leaned into it so much. Which the special effects back then though were like kind of a draw because it was something new. So people were actually kind of like intrigued to see like what new special effects could be, used and everything. You remember like the Star Wars prequels, or not? Sorry, not the Star Wars prequels. The relaunch in the 90s of the original movies where they did nothing but like add in a few like really shitty deleted scenes and have really bad like CG on stuff. That was like an entire like reasoning behind relaunching those movies was just having shitty CG and the bad special effects. It was like a big draw back then.
The thing though that makes that very different is you have bad 90s CG in a movie that looks like it was filmed in the 70s.
Yeah, it's really dumb.
Like there is nothing. The lighting is all wrong for it. The cinematography is all wrong for it. It literally looks shoehorned in, and that adds to the grossness of the textures and how bad everything looks.
It's so dumb, especially like when they especially when they went so far out of their way to have like really good practical effects and like what is technically like a special effect, but like was not like a CG effect for back then. And the fact that you still, like, to this day, I'm pretty sure can't get the original versions because they just refuse to let people have the original versions.
Which we have to have McClunky.
We have to have the fucking, like, the version of it where it has been erased and, like, rewritten and erased and rewritten, like, 12 times over. It's fucking painful, dude. I don't get it. But I'm just scrolling back through the IMDb photos, and to me, the scariest scene in this movie is the Jason Isaacs death.
Man,
dude, how good is that scene where you see the whole like scene take place of just focusing on Jason Isaacs' face, and you see Weir reach over to grab like the scalpel, and all you do is like hear the vivisection happening. It's real good.
Yeah,
and you don't see the after effect of it until Miller does, when Miller is walking through the ship to try to find everybody, and he sees fucking DJ strung up like a fucking Mason Verger victim, dude. It's crazy. Like I like that scene a lot. I think it's really creepy. That's like where they've taken the Hellraiser stuff of like the hooks and the light. They've taken that, but use it to good effect. It's not as much of a just copy paste. It's actually like taking it and kind of amping it up a little bit and making it scary. It
is so scary and out of place that like the juxtaposition between what you were watching and that one moment just makes it such a good standout.
Yeah, it's like a gut punch. And you're just like, fuck, dude.
To a dude that was probably the most level-headed of all of them, it seems like, he had a very like indifferent personality, but also seemed like he like legitimately cared about his job and his crew. So just to see a dude like that go down the way he did,
it sucks. It's also like I think a good little touch of like his character development that happens subtly is, do you remember when they break out into a fight and is it Smithy? Is that Pertwee's character? I think it's Smithy. I forget what they call him.
Smitty? I don't
it's like Smitty or Smithy. So he has attacked Weir, and it is DJ, Jason Isaacs, that like, puts the scalpel to his neck.
Yes.
To like stop him. And his reaction to himself having done that, because they're all being kind of like mentally fucked with by the ship,
Yeah.
He just drops the scalpel in disgust, and it shows how much of like a solid dude he is because of his reaction to his own like action. It's really well
makes
done.
You wonder. He's like the one that we don't get really any backstory for or an explanation for like past trauma. Like he strikes me as like an army medic, right? Like an on the battlefield medic that has seen some shit.
Yeah, and they kind of allude to, they don't go into detail, but they allude a little bit about what some of his like flashbacks would have been, because he has a vivisection scar when Sam Neill is about to kill him. so they just don't ever show like the backstory for it. And I love that they just tease the backstories. Like
Yes.
the decision to cut all of that shit was like probably pissed off Anderson and them, because you know they spent all this time writing this shit and filming it and had this much longer version. But like, man, did they get bailed out, because the 2.5 hour version of this movie doesn't work at all to me. I like this version that we got a lot better. What were some other like standout scenes for you in this?
So one thing that I kind of like in horror movies is when they do something or show you something that is just so ridiculous, and there's at least one person in the movie that recognizes it's ridiculous. That tunnel, when Justin opens it up, he's like, looks more like a meat grinder to me.
dude, it's so obnoxious. And then like Sam Neill, the way he brushes off the comment by coming up with like the gravitational blah 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 blah, and they're just like, this looks like a fucking blender, dude.
This looks like a meat grinder.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so one of the things that stands out to me above all else is I love sci-fi, I love spaceships. This spaceship is not just a collection of blinking lights. You know, like it looks like, outside of the amount of empty space, that's the thing that like NASA people complain about in movies, is because you wouldn't waste a single square inch of a spaceship. It is a fucking like legit spaceship. Like it looks cool. The inside is cool. It's got some design elements that look like they're taken from the Nostromo.
What
It's
are
very
the giant
industrial.
What are the giant fucking vats of green liquid? I still can't figure out what the giant
I know that
vats...
they become blood.
Yeah, it's like they only are there to become blood later, but like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, the shot of the thing just hovering above Neptune is so cool.
Yeah.
And very Ishimura, right?
Oh yeah. It's
dude,
crazy going back and watching this after having played all the
what
Dead Space games.
owes to this movie.
Dead Space? Dude, I don't know how they didn't get sued. Maybe Paul W.S. Anderson was too busy filming Jovovich like punch a zombie to realize that like Dead Space just like fucking blatantly and actionably ripped off Event Horizon. But you know what? I love Dead Space, so it's like whatever.
Well,
I got an Event Horizon game.
Not only that, think about like Weir's flashbacks to his wife.
Oh yeah.
Like that's the entire plot of Dead Space 2.
Yeah, Nicole is dead. It's the whole thing.
Yeah.
The whole thing. Yeah.
It was suicide too, wasn't it?
I don't remember, but he is haunted by it in a very, very similar way. So,
dude, a younger Sam Neill playing Isaac in a Dead Space movie would be pretty awesome.
I watched the fuck out of that.
I still stand by that if we ever get a Bloodborne movie for some god-awful reason, that he needs to be fucking Gehrman.
Yeah.
Just imagine him standing up with the scythe like, tonight Gehrman joins the hunt. I
want that so bad.
Right?
That'd be so good. Oh goodness.
Dude, imagine what his line delivery would be on Even the Doll. Like,
oh man,
Jesus!
Because he can hit. How can the man who can be so fucking likable reach to the depths of being like that despicable? You know?
Yeah.
Man. Also, Jason Isaacs as Gehrman would be like pretty fucking legit, because you know he can reach those depths of like despicableness too. I'd also watch the fuck out of that. So.
Man.
One of the character deaths that is like I think really really well shot and has one of the other creepiest scenes of the movie to me is when what is not Stark, is it Peters, the other lady that's not Stark?
Yes, when she falls
is hard to watch.
The worst part of that whole thing is when she's walking forward, you somehow already into it what she's going to do, and the sense of dread you have as the audience member, knowing that She's gonna step through something.
Whew.
She's gonna step through a goddamn manhole cover.
Dude, when she is not only falling that distance, but hitting like all that shit on the way down.
Oh my god, she's John Wicked herself down in between the buildings.
Dude, it's but Lawrence Fishburne's not gonna be able to patch her back up, unfortunately, after that one. But man,
someone give this woman a gun.
Dude, but the shot after she falls of the ship incorporating the little kid ghosts. The little kid ghost, like looking down, has this really creepy facial reaction to her falling, and then he disappears like back into the like mist of the ship, and it's real good because it just shows like how fucking vindictive this fucking spaceship is, man. Like the specter of the ship is a fucking asshole about this. It could kill these people much more efficiently, but it likes toying with them. It really enjoys making them suffer.
You get the sense that the ship enjoys it.
It really does.
One thing also that I think lended to this movie, to your point, is one thing I read is that this movie is supposed to have a lot more zero-G in it, but because of budgetary concerns,
that'd be
they introduced the mag boots.
Yeah.
I think having the mag boots helps a lot because you still have a lot of zero-G shit floating around and everything happening, but just having them walking around through the ship looking for survivors, I think, is a lot more compelling for some reason because it's a lot more eerie, right? Like
I agree.
They themselves are out of place. The things in the ship aren't out of place. The ship is powered down. You expect shit to be floating around, but seeing them just casually strolling through this dead derelict ship with shit bumping into shit that's floating around that shouldn't be floating around, it kind of lends something to it.
Like the word that's been escaping me that like I just thought of, it's a bit cliche to talk about with horror, but I think it applies really well to Event Horizon. Is like the movie itself isn't particularly like scary or like, you know, it's not like, we're not talking like Alien here, we're not talking like an actual classic, but like I think the atmosphere of Event Horizon is really strong.
I see what you did.
The like
that's what I meant to do.
The dread of them. Oh, also, here's a side note that I actually want to applaud them, both Anderson and Eisner, like from the writing perspective. I think this movie does an excellent job of when a character has to go off by themselves, it's for a damn good reason.
Yes.
They don't just walk separately to go do something stupid and then, you know, like present a layup opportunity for the Spectre thing, the presence in the ship to kill them. Like when they're having to go do something, they're having to like repair the ship or, you know, go get oxygen for the trip home. You know, like they all
scrubbers.
They all have a very, very specific job, and the movie takes the time to say, like, the reason this character is here by themselves is to do this, which is important. You know, it's not haphazard.
You wouldn't have someone on your crew that didn't have a specific job either.
Exactly.
So
I think all that stuff is really well
doing their job is a really cool thing that you don't always see in sci-fi stuff, and that always kind of drives me nuts because why are you here if you don't have a job?
Yeah.
How did you make the crew?
And then you have to do that you have to kind of like forgive the movie and say like, well, we can't really have the horror movie if people don't make dumb decisions. But this movie accomplishes that. No one really makes like dumb decisions. Like when they're doing shit that is a little bit out of character, it's because the ship is literally possessing them.
I was going to say, you always have the fallback on the ship is fucking with them and it's been doing it to them since they arrived. They are whittled down, right? By the time the deaths start happening.
But what's so funny is the movie has this plot device where they can explain away any dumb decision, but doesn't use that as like a fallback. They still take the time to make sure the characters are intelligently.
I would like to say that if I saw one of my kids that running through the ship that shouldn't be there, that I would not drop the CO2 scrubbers and go back, that I would just run forward. But like I said, the thing has been tinkering with my mind since the moment I stepped foot on board.
Yeah. But the fact that they don't explicitly fall back on that, they don't exploit it. They still are very, very smart about making the characters, for the most part, make like smart decisions and they're really like the fact that any of them survive is because like they're really capable. Like,
and of course they're capable. They wouldn't have been there. They wouldn't have been on the crew.
Yeah, they're really capable. Like they're
have to be.
Search
and rescue. They're trained to handle shit that no one else should see or do.
Search and rescue near fucking Neptune, dude. Like,
yeah,
these are gonna be like the best, and I like the way that they have the character actions set up, and I think it's really well written in that regard.
So I sent you a screenshot
of the meat grinder.
And what if looking at that image, I said to you, da 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 da.
I hadn't thought of that, but now that you mentioned it, it's very, very that.
Also, we were talking about Dead Space. If I told you this was a screenshot of a Dead Space 2 remake, would you believe me?
Oh yeah, like so Ron has sent a screenshot of the kind of like caked in flesh from the sides of the ship and that stuff. Oh, it's also it's cliche when you use the like flickering lights to reveal stuff, but when you use it to reveal that, it's pretty fucking cool.
Well,
because
they used
it's
it
not
to
revealing
reveal
it
to the audience. They didn't reveal it to the characters.
Yeah, that too. But you know, they're not revealing like a ghostly figure. They're just revealing the fucking like flesh caked into the ship. That's fucking cool. I like that a lot.
How the only word coming to my mind right now is charming. Is it that this ship has a jump drive where 50 years out in the future from when this movie was made, right? So it's the near future. It's got a jump drive. We have enough space travel that we have a search and rescue team on standby.
Mm-hmm.
So the space travel is a ubiquitous thing. And the ship's log is on a CD.
Oh, dude, and it gets stuck. I love that.
Anyone have a paperclip?
It's like they might as well have had it be a fucking N64 cartridge that they have to blow on to get it to work. I love that so much.
Yeah, it's so good. I always love when you see technology that doesn't really match. Like that should have been a solid state thing, right?
Yeah, it's so good. I love that.
Yeah. Like I love like the one thing I love in Alien is all the CRT screens and stuff.
Oh man. Oh, it's so good.
You know, outside of Mother, Alien doesn't really do the blinky light thing either.
Nope. Really, what it uses in its place is like the mist, and the smoke and the fog, because that is the smokiest goddamn fucking dry ice ship of all time.
Hey Jeff, Dead Space 2 remake images just dropped. Here's another one.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm scrolling back through the images on IMDb just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And side note, so it's a bit of a bleak ending because you can tell the characters have been like kind of fucked with. But I like the fact that a couple of them actually survived. A lot of movies in this genre, they just kind of kill everybody, or they make it like apparent that like everybody is absolutely dead, and there's still like a bit of an ominous presence at the end of this, but it's not like 100% sure that everyone fucking died.
I was gonna say, how do you feel about the airlock closing on its own at the end?
Yeah, it's clearly there to be like
ambiguous.
Oh, it's meant to be ambiguous. But I'm okay with that level of ambiguity as long as like I think what it's mostly insinuating in that scene is like the trauma that the characters have endured. Like they're gonna be kind of fucked up for a while. Kind of like the Rituals ending. Do you remember that? How he gets out, but like the dude's gonna be in therapy for the rest of his life.
Yeah,
you know? Kind of like that. Which I'm okay with. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I couldn't really decide what it was trying to do. I kind of took it as like we only have this part of the ship left, but it's not dead, right? Because it's still a supernatural there, presence. It's still there.
It's still following them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so horror
now,
has a lot.
If this was Doom, imagine them like towing that ship back to Earth. What would happen?
Yeah, I would love to see like
there's
a
lot of
sequel.
This taken from Doom also, because like we even talked about how we started like mining Mars, and isn't that the story of Doom? That we started like mining Mars for a power source because we found hell and started using a hell as a power source on Mars or something.
Yeah, that's at least I don't know if it was the story of like the original Doom, but it is like the story for the newer ones, I believe.
Yeah.
Like Eternal and 2016 and stuff. But all I was gonna say is that like horror sometimes has some like blatant ambiguity for their endings that is like kind of cringy or bad, and I don't find this bad. I find it fine. It's it's not it's like about as good of an ending I think as you could have for Event Horizon, I'd say, because like they do kind of win. Lawrence Fishburne, by the way, goes out like a complete fucking badass when he's like fucking punching Pinhead Sam Neill. Even though like he's clearly like outmatched by like the fucking hell god that he's fighting, it's just pretty
Right.
badass. I like the way his character goes
I
out.
like that he basically comes back into a new body too, because like he gets shot out into space without eyes, and then he comes back as his fucking memory of the dude on fire, and then like that's not fake. Like that body is there, and then he inhabits it.
It's like put him together like a fucking jigsaw puzzle. He's like almost like pieced back together with like it's like new scars.
He looks like a predator relic that was found.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just the fact that it made like a little like a hodgepodge Sam Neill just to come back and be a dick again.
Yeah. I just noticed something in screenshot 338 of 520 is a thing I just fucking said. Are his organs arranged on the table the way that they would have been arranged in his body?
Can you send me the screenshot? Because
I can't wait to send you this. It's great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It's like the lungs are up where the chest would be, and shit.
Yeah, I think so.
The symbols in the background too is very cultist from Dead Space.
Yeah, I had noticed that. That's another thing too, because so many of these like screenshots in the movie are like just like real quick cuts. You can find a lot of shit in the background if you like pause, which I always find interesting. Like we talked about that with like, do you remember like Children of Men? How you could pause on those newspaper clippings for like an hour and find out all kinds of lore that the movie just does not talk about.
I just realized out of context in this screenshot, he's a goddamn Doctor Who villain.
Yeah, he's shown up with Sam Neill at the end holding the space bolt gun thing, sitting down with his eyes stitched. I love that image of him with that prosthetic. It's so good.
It's a horror movie, so we got to have a nail gun.
Also, dude, you notice too, like Sam Neill is like such a fucking genius. He's almost like reacting like it's painful too. He always looks like a little bit uncomfortable, but he's
That's
like
probably
complacent.
The prosthetic.
It's probably the prosthetic. It's probably like method acting. But you know what I mean? It kind of like comes across with his character too, where it's like, this fucking sucks, but this is the way it is now, man. Get used to it. You're fucked.
There's a lot of like really crazy near the end with that final confrontation between Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Neill. Those real close in shots on Sam Neill's face rather than being wide. The first couple of times I was like, okay. And then when it kept doing, it's like, so we're just gonna keep doing this, eh? It just we don't see anything but his eyes the entire time. It's like, no, I noticed they're back. But yeah. Dude, here's one of the images that just flashes in the movie. This is, I believe, Stark. And then everyone else just fucking I like the arrangements. Also, the color scheming of a lot of the like machinery in the ship is very Hellraiser. That kind of like a rustic brown, that is kind of like out of place for specifically like sci-fi stuff usually, because usually sci-fi stuff uses like off-white as the kind of like backdrop color for like pieces of the ship. That's usually how like you would have a ship that started out white, but over time, because we're showing it's kind of like decayed a little bit, it's now kind of like an off-white to show like kind of like aged, and lived in. But it's just a very Hellraiser brown, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think I've kind of touched on everything that I had. So what are your overall thoughts, like, as far as like what your takeaway is of having watched it now versus like what you thought of it back in the day?
Scared the absolute shit out of me back in the day.
How young were you when you watched it originally?
I was probably about like 10.
I think I watched it for the first time
I couldn't have
probably when
been.
I was about 20.
I
So
couldn't have been 10. I had to have been 12 at earliest.
yeah, I can see this, especially you didn't really watch very much horror as a kid.
All the
So this
horror I watched was when my parents went to bed.
because you watched
didn't know I watched
you watched Alien, right? Wasn't that your story with Alien? Is like you watched
Yeah.
Alien when you were very, very young and it traumatized you a bit?
Yeah, and it still trauma. I relive that trauma every time I watch it. And it's great.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah,
You can't reach like nothing can be as like primordial for you as something that scared you when you were a little kid. You just
Oh,
can't you
man.
can't replicate that.
What scared you the most as a little kid?
Probably the thing that scared me the most, just because I couldn't swim, was Jaws, and I'm still kind of afraid of sharks to this very day because of it. I was never super scared of like horror movies, really, because I just watched a bunch of them as little kids, so they became like just kind of like commonplace for me, and they don't usually scare me that bad. They didn't like scare me that bad when I was a little kid. You know what actually scared me when I was a little kid? Coincidentally, and just because it's the way that it was shot and everything, and because it was more about being creepy and unsettling than like scary. The Sixth Sense actually scared me when I was a little
Really?
kid. When I first watched The Sixth Sense, I was probably like 7,
Oh,
and
wow.
the scene of the ghost and the dumbwaiter trying to like beckon over the little kid to get in the dumbwaiter with them really freaked me out when I was a little kid. Because that scene, do you remember that scene? It's very creepy.
I just remember the one kid and Bruce Willis. I don't remember any other kids.
I might have to have The Sixth Sense on the podcast because
Well, if you do that, I'm doing signs.
some of the other ghost encounters are incredibly creepy.
I don't remember other ghost encounters.
Oh, it's interesting. So
I
the
remember
little
being
kid,
very underwhelmed by that movie. I just don't remember much about it.
so the little kid runs into different ghosts like all throughout the movie.
Like
At one
Ichigo?
point, at one point he runs in. So he's at a birthday party, right? And they're doing like hide and seek or something. So he walks like away from the other kids, and he's standing near a dumbwaiter, and all you hear is a ghost voice talking to him and beckoning him inside to go in the dumbwaiter with him.
Wow.
And all you hear is the voice. You don't actually. Usually they show the ghosts, but you don't see the ghost. All you hear is the voice, and that really creeped me out when I was like 7.
Huh.
So, yeah, there's some cool imagery in that movie of the other ghosts. Yeah.
See,
So
it's interesting. Even when I was a kid and was too young to watch Jaws, Jaws never really scared me much. And I think that's kind of the category that I put Event Horizon in right now, is kind of with Jaws, where like it scares the bejesus out of people, but like I just see Jaws as just like a really good movie. And Event Horizon to me is just a really good science fiction movie. Like it scared the crap out of me when I was younger, but watching it this time, I was like, man, this is a lot more tame than I remember it being. Like my expectation of it being super scary took kind of the scariness away from it this time.
Yeah, it's not scary. I like it because it's cool more than I like it
Yeah.
because it's scary.
But I remember being terrified of this, especially when Sam Neill is in the little green hallway, and like the lights are flickering on and off, and Claire is talking to him, and then she appears. I remember that just scaring the absolute bejesus out of me.
You're also more
Experienced?
exposed to. You're more experienced. Like you've seen Hereditary now. Like Event
Dude.
Horizon is not gonna fuck you up when you've seen Hereditary.
Not unless Claire is using that straight razor to take her own head off.
Hereditary like fucked me up, and I'm the person who has been watching horror movies since they were 5.
Did it break
and
the
are
scary fuse?
Usually not bothered, and Hereditary had me looking up in the corners of my bedroom that night. It was so effective at scaring me, and
What
that's
for?
why
There's nothing there. The screen's just black.
you and your goddamn broken TV.
It's not broken. It's just really effective at black.
Yeah, it has local dimming of effective levels where you can't see what's happening, so it's very effective local dimming. Yeah, Event Horizon I really like for all the elements we've talked about because it's cool and because it's just a Dead Space movie, and I love this like environment. I love horror in space. It's some of my you and I are two of the ones that are like we prefer Alien to Aliens. Very very like exclusive club because almost everyone would say we're crazy. But I just like Alien better because it's got that vibe that I'm looking for of like the really really.
The Ash is a goddamn robot vibe.
Oh man, I gotta watch Alien. It's Halloween. I gotta watch The Thing in Alien. Man.
I haven't watched him yet.
I gotta watch him, man. This weekend,
I haven't done it yet.
This weekend, I might have to swing by with like a 6-pack or something, and we just knock out The Thing in Alien because we fucking got it, man.
One of my most cherished memories is when when this house was being built. I lived in that apartment, and you came over. And I think we did that double feature, didn't we? We at least watched Alien. I think we did the full double feature.
I think we just watched Alien, and then we played like 5 nights. We played some games afterwards, I think, or before.
But one of my most cherished memories is we're both sitting on the couch. We're both talking about the jump scare that is coming up. And we've seen this movie how many goddamn times. And as soon as it happens, not only do I jump, I see in the corner of my eye you jump at the same time.
It's so good. God damn you, Ridley Scott, you beautiful fucking genius.
And then I just remember being like, God, fucking got me. And you go, yep, me too. And neither one of us said another word about it. Just kept watching. Like, both of us jumped at the same like, fuck, fucking got me. Yep, me too.
Like, yeah.
I don't know. For some reason, that just stands out in my mind anytime I think about watching Alien.
Yeah, we gotta make that rewatch happen because gotta watch it, man. It's that time of the year.
Oh God, there's a reason we made Alien and The Thing our first 2 films to cover on this podcast.
You're goddamn right. Yeah. So
by the way, happy 3-year anniversary. Speaking.
Yeah,
of.
it's not fucking nuts. We're getting like in the ballpark of 100 episodes of this show too. Which is crazy.
It's 84, I believe.
Yeah, kind of crazy, but it's been fun. Yeah, Event Horizon. I think this is a super fun Halloween movie because it is delving in cool concepts and it's fun to watch and it's like fun to get immersed in, even though it's not scary. This is like what you would put in. Not only so it's not like the scary movie you're gonna be watching for Halloween. It's like the fun Halloween movie to me, which I'm all about. You know, like I love the movies like Hereditary, which can legitimately frighten me, but I also love the movies like this where you're watching it and you're more so just kind of like aiming for this is a fun Halloween movie thrown like at like a party. I like those types of films too. Not just I'm not only like exclusively going after full blown this is gonna like scare the shit out of you horror. I also like elements of this, and that's what's fun about like horror is like horror can be funny. You know, it can be you can have your Event Horizon, you can have your Hereditary, you can have your Tail and Ducker versus Evil. Yeah. You can have all kinds of shit.
We got your friend.
We got your friend. You can have all kinds of shit fall under that umbrella, and it's great.
Oh man.
So yeah, I will do some of our sign-offs, and Ron, why don't you figure out what your next episode selection is going to be, because you had been kind of on the fence earlier, I remember, but if you want to follow the show more...
I've got it dialed in.
You got it dialed in?
I got it dialed in.
All right. Did you find the answer with 5 seconds left on the clock? And
as I got through my tabs, I closed them so that I don't repeat or have to like look for things. So for the last 20 minutes, it's literally just been staring at me in the face.
Staring at you?
Yeah.
All right. If you want to follow the show more, we are on Twitter at SPR Filmcasts. Any ratings or reviews on whichever platform you found us on are always helpful. If you caught us on YouTube, please make sure to like and subscribe to check out our future content on there. And yeah, share us out with your friends. Let us know in the comments, whatever platform you caught us on. Like, what are your thoughts on Event Horizon? Because it's I feel like this is one of those movies. There's a very, very specific group of like the cult classics where you just know there's
DVD
a decent chunk of people out there. Like, there's a decent chunk of people out there where this is like their favorite movie.
Yeah.
This is like that movie where it hits such a level of specificity that it is a decent chunk of people It's
Well,
it's gonna hit them and be their favorite movie of all time.
I'm a Rick Brown fan. It has a jump drive. I'm
Right?
there.
10 out of 10.
I'm home.
Two thumbs up, man. What's their next movie run?
So I will say this to you and anyone listening. If you've never seen this movie, do not even look it up on IMDb, because I did while watching it and spoiled something for myself, because the very first thing that comes up is a spoiler image.
Okay.
But have you, Jeff, ever seen the movie Underwater?
I have not.
Do not look up a goddamn thing. They even Just Watch. The poster they have for it on Just Watch is a goddamn spoiler.
Okay.
So
what year did this come out? I'm not
this came
super familiar with Underwater.
out in 2020.
Okay.
It stars everybody's favorite, the lovely Kristen Stewart. And supporting cast, one of the members is TJ Miller. That aged well. But it is, I can't remember now, the near future, I believe. We have a scientific and mining base in the bottom of the Marianas Trench. And the movie literally opens with it starting to implode because there's a hull breach.
Okay.
And the characters are trapped in this vessel, in this in Sea Lab 2021, right? Trying to get out and get to the surface.
Well, all you got to do is just don't stand near Samuel L. Jackson and you'll be fine.
Right? This movie is dark and grim and claustrophobic. And yeah, it's got a lot going on. And it has, I'll tell you this much. It's got a couple of eye-rolly things in it. I'll tell you that right off the bat. One of the things being that Kristen Stewart is basically in her underwear the entire movie. But it was I literally put this movie on while playing a game.
Mm-hmm.
And ended up stopping the game to watch the movie. It grabbed my attention.
Didn't that happen? What was that really, really early episode we had? Circle?
Yes.
Didn't the Circle have that same effect where like you put it on as a backdrop and then you eventually stopped your game just to watch the movie? Didn't the exact same thing happen there?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yep,
yeah.
Same thing.
I didn't even know this movie existed. I will refrain from looking anything up because I like to go in, totally cold. But yeah, I'm excited to check this out because I have no idea.
I am willing to bet that people that did see this movie already knew what I am considering a spoiler. The only thing that I knew about this movie is that it had Kristen Stewart and it was underwater.
Okay.
That was the only thing I knew. And it grabbed my attention, like basically grabbed me by the face and turned my head towards it.
Really?
When it happened. Yeah. I literally just like, what? Oh, what is her name? I can't think of her name. Just watch. Tell me. Save me. Just watch. The chick from Iron Fist that talks about pigs swimming in gravy. She's in this also.
Oh God. I know who you're talking about.
I swear to God, I'm not seeing her name on Just Watch. I may be Jessica Henwick, maybe her.
Okay.
Let me click on this.
Yeah, I will defer to you to look up stuff about it because I don't want to find that spoiler you were talking about.
I believe, yep, that is her. Okay. She's in something else too that surprised me, but we'll get all that when we talk about the cast. But yeah, I'm gonna pick Underwater. I also am gonna say that you and I have plans to go try to watch Five Nights at Freddy's, and one way or another, if it is good enough or bad enough, it will probably end up on this podcast. So I don't know. So maybe plan for that in the future. We haven't seen it yet. We don't know if there's content to be had there. But I'll be watching Willy's Wonderland before we go. I know that much.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about that Five Nights movie. Like I'm intrigued by it, but
they
I don't
look
know.
real good. I don't
They
know if
looked
the
very-
movie's very good or not, but Jim Henson's company did the creatures.
Oh, really? That's the thing, though. It's like
That's the complaint online.
I don't. They're almost like too like accurate to the game, where I can't really like find them scary because I associate them so much with the game
Here's
that I can't
the
like
thing.
detach from it.
Here's the dumbest thing you'll hear all week, because it strikes me that it sounds like you don't know about this. The controversy over this movie is that Jim Henson's company did the robot designs and the puppet designs.
Okay.
And the controversy is they're too wholesome and family friendly looking. Process that for a moment.
Yeah. Well, now here's the thing: is like, aren't they supposed to like kind of devolve into a scarier version of those? Like,
For children. It's a Chuck E. Cheese. They're supposed to be family friendly and wholesome looking.
But it also depends on like which stage of them they're showing in the trailers, because don't they also divulge into being scarier like versions? Because there's like different versions of them as far as like the Funkos and stuff. I know.
Yeah, there are, but the only ones they've ever shown in the trailers I've seen are the ones when Five Nights is still like open for business. Five Nights is run down and pretty much closed its doors by the time you start playing in the game. That's why they're in the condition they're in. So obviously they're going to be all run down and scary looking later. But like, they complain that something is too family friendly and wholesome looking when it was literally designed for children.
Yeah. Like it's like complaining like Chuck E. Cheese doesn't look like it's gonna murder the kids.
Yeah.
By default, so
it does.
It looks.
But yeah.
It looks stupid. I don't. This Ron. This is why you need to detach like me and just don't follow any news and don't follow any fucking dumbass reactions like that. Just live in a state of bliss. I'm just sitting over here in my chair, just like Sam Neill did of Event Horizon. Just like vibing. Like just this is fine. Just chill. Just chill.
I don't know how. I can't.
Oh man, just unplug as much as you can, and you'll be like, just think of how happy you would have been if you didn't know that complaint.
Right? But at the same, I mean, it's kind of like the Resident Evil 4, I think, complaint. Like, what do you mean Amy Wong is Asian now? What?
I fucking hate the internet, and I'm just gonna walk away. I'm gonna walk away.
That was a thing.
Jesus
that was a
Christ.
thing that happened.
Oh God! All right, let's get out of here, man. Now I'm just sad.
You're welcome.
That's the level of stupidity is what scares me, not anything in the Event Horizon, man. Like hell is people, man. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Have a good night, everybody. I guess. Thanks for listening. Fuck, man. What platforms is Underwater available to watch on?
Underwater is available for streaming on Fubo and Hulu, and available to rent or buy at all the usual places.
I'm gonna have to. I think I have Hulu, so I'm gonna have to try to like squint at the TV when I click the movie to avoid seeing the poster thing, the placeholder.
If I recall, the whole reason I didn't know anything about it is because Hulu didn't show anything about
it. Good on you, Hulu. Good job.
And I'm sure that was a total accident on Hulu's part because
they're not that
my
clever.
God, man. When I watch anything, especially horror on Hulu, I have to turn on subtitles because their audio mixing is so bad on Hulu that like, if anybody's whispering or if there's like a ghostly whisper, I'm gonna miss it on Hulu.
Amazon,
I get it everywhere else, but Hulu, fucking no.
Amazon also has, especially on older movies, has really, really bad mixing when it comes to that.
Yeah, I don't know. It has to be something to do with their compression. They must just be flattening the audio or something. I don't know why, but shit just does not come through. I did not have that experience with this movie. I don't know if that means I missed something because it is Hulu. But
no clue. Yeah. But I'm excited to check it out because I like going into stuff that I know fucking nothing about. So thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you have a safe and awesome Halloween since this is going to be going up a couple days before. Also, I will be uploading. Hopefully on Halloween itself, I'll be uploading that short story audiobook that I still need to record. But it won't take too long, so we'll see how that goes. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great Halloween. Have a good night.